Hi, and welcome to this session on Excel table organized by the Microsoft Excel group of Kampala. It was originally broadcasted on the 7th of August at 7 p.m. This is a summary of the recording. So, Excel tables, we are going to review how to better organize data in Excel table, activate this specific feature to Excel, and see how we can best leverage the different properties of that table to organize data, but also summarize data and eventually limit the type of data that we want to see in our table. So let's proceed. What we are going to learn during that session, so what about Excel tables? How do we create one? So what is a table? First of all, creating a table in Excel. What does it take to create one? Managing table settings and property. We will see that when we create a table in Excel, we have access to a specific tab that contains properties specific to that table. How can we use them? Then referencing a table in formulas. How do we do that? And how do we leverage the dynamic referencing of a table? And how do we summarize a table as well? So once we have all the data inside one table, how can we create a summarized version of that table to analyze the data that we have collected inside? So about us, the Excel Kampala group. So it's led by Marvin Sekandi, who is the Chief Excel Officer at Vinix Software School. You can link up with him on LinkedIn profile, and this link will be provided below the video as well, so you can link up with him. He animates the group on a daily basis and provide tips and tricks about how to use Excel and motivate the team to improve their knowledge in Excel. About myself, so I am David Gerard. I am a business intelligence consultant at Fumastra Management Consulting, and the link to my LinkedIn profile is provided here as well. You can find it in the comment section below the video as well. So I participate as well in the animation of the group and try to answer as many questions as possible to help others better understand how to improve their knowledge in Excel and gain better proficiency with that tool. All right, so what is a good practice with Excel and tables in general, or data? Okay, so we are going to see in practice also how to better store the data. But in general, okay, all the data that we have should be stored in a table. So we could have more than one table, but it should be stored in one table, in rows and columns. So here we have a representation of data stored in several tables. We have, and it might not be the best way of storing data actually, and we are going to see why. We have on the left side, okay, different tables that contain data associated to the sales of 2015. In the middle, we have sales of 2016 and then sales of 2017. And we can see that all the different categories, accessories, bikes, clothing, and components are similar over the years, but they are split in different tables. So when you want to analyze and compare results of categories over years, it's a bit more difficult because they are not stored together. So the analysis would be feasible, but a bit more complicated. And we can see, okay, we don't especially see it in that case here, but we have merged cells for the category, which is not a very good practice because we cannot activate. Well, it would make more difficult inserting a column when you have merged cells, and also if you want to activate filters, it's not very practical as well. So we are going to see what would be a better practice to sort that data in one table. So that's how it should be, and that's the aim that we are going to have during this session, is to store all the data in one main table. So we can see we have all the years together in one column, all the categories in one column, and yes, we need to repeat the year, we need to repeat the category, and then we have the product, the sales amount, and the rating. And if we want to summarize that to compare the year-over-year result improvement and growth over time, or for a specific category, we would use a pivot table. That's what we have on the left. So we would separate the storage of the data in one specific table, and the analysis of that data, or the summarization of that data, in a pivot table. That's what we have on the left. So we'll see that also in our presentation. So our table contains headers, and the data is stored in columns and rows. So that's a very fundamental principle in a table format, okay, in a tabular format or columnar format. We have one column or field that contain a specific type of data, and in that case it's the year, which is a numeric format, okay, a numeric type of data. Then we have the category, which contains text type data, product, and the sales amount, which contains a numeric currency data type, and then we have the rating with a percentage data type. And it's important to respect one only data type in each column and not to mix. Sometimes you have a mix of numeric data type and then a text data type, which is not optimum for the data. So you want to really store only one data type in one column, and then do your analysis separately. If you want to have the total for 2015, you wouldn't do it within your table, but rather in a pivot table. And we are going to see that in a minute. We are going to have some practice example. So, good practice, storing the data in one table and then activating a pivot table to analyze all that data, and keeping all the data in one field in one data type. So that's the good practice, how to do it. All right. So let's go now to our Excel table, and I have opened both the file in Excel desktop and as well in the browser, so Excel Online, so we can see a little bit what's the difference between both. There are some slight differences that we will see about the table itself. Okay, so the results that we have here, but we are going to see how can we achieve that result. Okay, so let's go back in the desktop version. We have our sales for 2015, accessories, bikes, and clothing components. We are going to group all those sales for 2015 in one table. So let's create a new sheet. Let's put it at the end there, and we are going to name it new all in one table. Okay. we are going to bring the sales of 2015. We Control C to copy that, and we are going to copy it here. So what I do quite often, I like to copy only the values, and I don't want the format with it. I don't especially need the format. The format can be sometimes a bit annoying, and mainly again the merge and center, because if you want to insert a column, Excel might not like it. Okay, in that case it works, but if you have a table format, it would be a bit disturbing to insert and actually activate even filters. It wouldn't work properly. So merge is not really a good way of storing the data. Okay. Let's go to our new all-in-one table and see how we can organize our data. So we have all the sales for 2015 in different categories. We are going to reorganize that. I was copying and pasting what we have in the several tables worksheet, and I was pasting it actually with just the values only. Okay, I don't want to keep the format, and I don't especially need the format. So let's reorganize all that. We are going to put that aside a little bit to prepare our table. We have the year. Okay. All right. So we need a column for the year. Okay, we are going to store that here. We need a column for the categories. Categories. Okay. And we need the product, sales, and rating. Accessories is the product, the category of the sales. Okay, so we have all those are belonging to the accessories category type of sales, and we can also copy downward this, paste it. And here it belongs to the year 2015. Okay, so up, and now we can copy and paste it downward, or drag it downward. All right, so we have our first category. We can delete that, and we can already, okay, let's bring down this a little bit. Okay, we can already create our table with that. We have the first category inserted in our table, but it's not yet a table. We have already organized so our headers, our columns, and data type specific, so numeric type here only it will contain years, the category, then here we'll have only the product, the sales amount, and the rating. And we are going to create our table with that. Let's do that. To create a table in Excel, we need to go into the Insert tab, and we choose Table. We click on Table. Automatically, Excel recognizes all the adjacent or contiguous cells of the selected one, and propose to create a table based on the region that contains data, okay, that are contiguous to the selected cell. Important, we need, well, first of all, to verify that it's correct, which is the case. We can see the cell which references our future table, so that's correct. And we need to ensure that the checkbox is ticked for my table has headers, which is the case. The headers are the year, category, product, sales, and rating. This being okay, we can click on OK. Very good. We have our table. We can see what happened is that Excel created a tab which contained table design, and that where we have the different settings, properties of our table that we can change. Again, if we go back, we can see step by step what Excel did. So I jump into redo create table, and Excel create a table design, add the table design tab to our ribbon, on which when we click we have access to different specific table related properties and settings. If we want, we can change the style. If we don't like the default blue, we can pick the orange, we can pick the green or black or whatever we have. We have a wide variety, and we can even create our new style. Now let's see another way of creating our table. When we click on Insert and Table, we have an information about the shortcut that's used as well, which is Control T. So Control T is the shortcut that we can use to create a table, Control T. It also works if you use Control L. Control L like list, Control T as table. Both work. And something important, if you are online, if you use the Excel online, we have our table here. Control T wouldn't work. Control T would create a new tab in your browser. Control L is the shortcut that you need inside the Excel online. So be aware of that. You can use Control L to create an Excel table when you are in the online version of Excel. And actually, okay, the dialog box is different because you need beforehand to select all the range that you want to embed in your table, which is not done automatically by Excel. So beforehand, you need to select all the cells that are going to be part of your table. You can also go into the Insert tab and use Table, or eventually Control L as the shortcut. And now Excel confirmed the range, which is C1 to G7, and my table has headers. That's correct as well. Okay, let's go back to Excel desktop and continue. Another way of creating a table from the Home tab, we have in the Styles group, Format as Table. We can use that as well. And start with a different style, or choose the style that we most like. We can create a new one as well. Also, a good tip, if we had a specific format applied to that table, we could right click on the style that we want to have and then choose apply and clear formatting. That's quite useful actually. So again, if I have a specific format that I have applied to my data, when I want to create and remove the format that has been applied, I could choose right click, apply and clear formatting. So again, we have this dialog box that wants us to confirm that the area is the correct one, which is the case. So again, Excel Desktop proposes that. Excel Online doesn't give you the possibility to alter that range. Okay, let's confirm my table as headers, and that's okay. Our formatting has been removed, and we have applied the new formatting, the new design of our table. Okay. I'm going to go outside of our table. All right, so first thing, very important, and I think it's a good practice to rename the table. So let's rename it Sales Data Table. So I like to name all my tables with the TBL at the end, so the suffix TBL, so I know that when I have a named range, with TBL, it references a table. If I have created several named ranges, those that don't end with TBL, I know there won't be a table. So I distinguish the table name with TBL at the end. Again, something important, if you are online, this is not available. So we have our table. We have access to the table design tab in Excel Online. But, oh, this is a new feature actually. this was not before. Okay, very good thing. So, well, that's good. Okay, I've learned something also. This was not accessible before. It's new and it's now available. Very good. Great. All right. So the name of the table appears here. Okay. Very good. And because I have my file actually stored in OneDrive Online, it's auto-save. And as soon as I do modification in the desktop, it's sync online, and what I see online is exactly the same as well. Okay, so that's very useful and great feature that we have now access to the name of the table. Great thing. Okay, great. All right, so we have our table. We can see. Let me go out. We can see that now our table is delimited, and we can expand it with the little handle that's available here. So if I grow a bit, we can see that I have a little handle which is accessible here that helps me resize my table if I want to. Okay, I can also do it from the tab design, resize table, and change the size of my table. I can already create a pivot table with the tools group in the table design, remove duplicates eventually, and convert it back to a range. Okay, insert a slicer, we can see later on, and different other things that are available as well. So let's include the rest of our categories inside. We have bikes. So we don't need the header because we have it already over there. So let's move that aside. We just need the data inside, and we can bring it up here like this, hopla, and automatically our table has expanded to include the new rows inside. We can bring as well our bikes category and double click to send it downward. We can select the year column, double click to send it downward, and replicate the same value downward. Very good. Let's continue. Include clothing inside. We can click and drag it, include it in our table. We'll move clothing, double click to send it downward, and the same for the components. Okay, so I have this warning because my cell contains some data, but it's useless, so I can just replace it. Yes, okay, very good. And now this is our components. Let's bring it inside, double click to send it downward. Let's select the year, double click to send it downward as well. Let's remove that and keep it clean. Hopla. Now we have our table that has been activated. We have the first year of 2015 inside. We have created a well-structured table. Even though it's not very well formatted, we don't have the currency like we have here, and the rating is not represented as a percentage. Okay, so we need to improve that a little bit. But we can already see that our header contains filters, which is very useful to filter by year. We will see that when we have 2016, we can select and filter by year. We can also use number filters feature, which gives you the possibility to create more advanced filter with equals to, does not equal, greater than or equal to, and so on and so on. Okay. Also, you can select the top 10 if you want, so that could be quite useful to have the top 10 product for each year, for instance, or by category and things like that. You can also sort your data from smallest to largest, sort by color as well if eventually we had applied a specific color. And sheet view is a new feature that's available in 365, mainly when you are collaborating with others and you want to create a new sheet view specific to you that won't be showed up to others who could be collaborating with you on the file. So you could have applied specific filters for you, useful for you, but not affecting the view of others who could be working on your file. So that's very, very powerful, I would say. Yeah. All right. Let's format. We can select our column. If we hover over the sheet column header, we can select the entire sheet column, but we don't want to do that. If we hover at the intersection of the column header, the sheet column header, and the table column header, just at the intersection of both, we have a small arrow that points downward, and it's different. Well, it's the same as the sheet column header, but we can see that it transforms, okay, from a cross to a downward arrow again. That gives us the possibility to select the column data range. And if we double click on it, if we click a second time, we include the header as well. So when we want to format the column range of our table, we don't need the column header to be formatted, so we need just the data inside the data range. With that selected, we can click on currency, and because my regional settings are set up to Uganda, we have UGX or Uganda shillings recognized as the local currency, and the style is recognized as accounting. Okay, so now everything that's in this column will be recognized as a currency format with 1000 separator and displaying the Uganda shilling symbol. Let's see also that the format is something different from what has been typed inside. What has been typed is 700. We don't type the USH information, currency symbol. This is displayed by the format. Okay. So now let's select our column rating and apply the format percentage that we can find in the number group of the home tab. And now we have our rating represented as a percentage. With that table created, we can include further years, and our table is going to expand automatically and include automatically new the format that has been applied, and that's a main advantage of our table. Let's also ensure that for the year we will have only years that are going to be between, let's say, 2015 and 2020. So for that we are going to select the column data without the header and go to the data tab, and we can choose data validation available in the data tools group and restrict the type of data that we want to all number that's going to be between 2015 and 2020. Okay, so only this type of data, all number that's going to be between 2015 and 2020 will be accepted inside that range. Let's click OK. And now for the category, we want also to restrict the type of information that we want to see in category. We have only 4 categories over the years, and we don't want anything more, and we want to avoid mistakes as well. So we are going to use the data validation and use allow list only, and we are going to list down what we want to see inside. So we have accessories, comma, we separate all the different categories list with a comma, bikes, comma, clothing, comma, and components. So there are different ways, okay, we can create our list. We could also reference a range inside our sheet and make it dynamic, such that when the list of categories increases, okay, it integrates as well the new categories. But for now, we are going to keep it very simple, and we enter manually all the different items of our lists, separated by a comma. Accessories, bikes, clothing, and components. Let's click OK. So now only those categories will be accessible from a drop-down list that we have available inside that column data. All right, let's include 2016. Let's go back to our other sheets. We have sales for 2016. Control C. Let's go to the new sheet. Let's paste it here. So again, what I like to do is remove all the formatting and keep only the values. You know, when you work quite often with data, you realize that sometimes when you import with the format, it creates a little bit more work or a little bit some trouble, and we want to make things simple. And because we have already a format that we have applied to our table, each time we will include new data in our table, the table will expand and include the new formatting that we have applied. So if we go just below our table, we don't have access to the list of data, a list of items, okay, that we have allowed for that category in particular. But when we click inside our table, we have access to that, okay. So we are going to see that as soon as our table includes new data and expands, it will automatically expand as well the choice to the new data. So let's click this and drag it inside our table. Boom, the format has been applied. The what was a decimal value has been transformed into a percentage, and what was before a non-formatted numerical value has been formatted as currency as well. And here we can see we have indeed access to the categories lists, and this is accessories. So we can pick accessories. We can go into the edit mode with F2 and apply Control Enter to apply that content to all the selected cells. Very good. All right, let's go to bikes. We drag it and include it inside. And this is actually bike. We can also type it if we know exactly the correct spelling, and Control Enter to apply that value to all the selected cell. Let's move a bit faster with that. We have now clothing, and Excel automatically proposes us that value, which is okay. We can do Control Enter directly. Components. All right, we include it inside. We select our cell. Components, we can start typing, and now we have only one that starts with COM. Control Enter to validate the proposed choice by Excel, and we have all our categories. Now 15, now we are in 16. We select our cell, we type in 2016, Control Enter to apply that value to all the selected cells. Very good. Let's remove that and delete. All right, now we have a properly formatted table. We have applied one data type per columns. We have applied as well data validation. We know that in the first column we can only have values that are between 2015 and 2020. In the second, we can have only a choice from a list that contains the different categories of accessories, bikes, clothing, components. We have not restricted for product, okay? It's a bit wider, we have a bit more product, but still if we have a specific list of product, we can also restrict it like we did for the categories and ensure proper spelling of those products and reduce the risk of errors. Here we have applied a specific formatting, but we have not applied any data validation yet. We could include it as well and make sure that on these in this column, we have only numeric values, so we should choose all number, and let's say it goes between 100, the minimum would be 100, and we would have maximum would be 100,000. So let's say that the minimum amount for our product would be 100 and the maximum 100,000. Okay, whatever the currency. Okay, let's not bother about the currency and the value. That's not the most important. Okay, so now we are ensuring that we cannot find a text information inside. If I start typing some text inside and I try and validate that cell, it won't accept it because it doesn't match the data type that we have defined in our data validation property. Okay, so we will need to retry and eventually get out of that. Okay, so let's escape that and go back to the value that we had before. Let's do the same here. We want in the rating only values that will be between 0 and 1 represented as percentage. Data validation, let's select only decimal values that will be between 0 and 1. So we can have 0.1, 0.5, 0.2 and so on. And that's what a percentage is anyway. It's 10% is 0.1. 99% is going to be 0.99. Okay, so that's why we need to choose decimal between 0 and 1, maximum 1 being 100%. Okay, very good. So now we have restricted the type of value that we can see inside the rating, the sales, the product. We have used data validation list for category, and here we can only see years between 2015 and 2020. We have seen that if we type a value that is not approved in our data validation property, it will not be accepted. So we really improve the data quality that we are going to have in our table and avoid risk of errors as much as possible. That's very important. Okay, our table contains now 2 years. And I suggest, okay, we finish for this third part, and we are going to create a second video that will contain the analysis of that data and how we can separate data storage from data analysis. All right, that's it for this first video. Thank you very much for being present in this one, and let's continue next.